Hello again, people. Welcome back to HemingwayLand.com, your source for quality, affordable land in the state of New Mexico. New property going live this week in Hidalgo County. I've been trying for some time to purchase new land in Hidalgo County. Our previous experiences there were all very positive. Buyers tend to like these properties because, as you can see from the headline, the county has no countywide zoning ordinances. Some small towns out there do, but for the most part, most of the county is what's called quote-unquote unincorporated land. Ergo, no zoning laws. Additionally, this property also boasts, as you can see in the headline, power running along the property boundaries. So, an enviable lot, and particularly for those of you who show up on the channel weekly to find properties where you can RV indiscriminately, camp indiscriminately, build some sort of unconventional structure like a tiny home, shipping container home, an earthship home, or a yurt. This may be the property for you. Let's find out. This is reference number HGNM2224, located as noted in the boot heel of the state, southwest corner, Hidalgo County, in the Sundance subdivision. Just Sundance, that's all it's called, not Sundance Estates, just Sundance. 9.36 acres, priced, as you saw up top, for $14,000. Really good price for a nearly 10-acre property in this county, but I will get into comps later. For now, let's pull this up on a map, show you guys exactly where this is on our listing page right here. As with all of our listing pages, guys, click any one of these GPS coordinates and up on Google Maps, the lot shall appear. So, property is right here. Let's zoom back a little bit, show you where this is on planet Earth. As you can see, very close to Highway 9 over here, sitting just about 10 minutes outside of Animas, and roughly about 10 minutes, 10 miles outside of Rodeo. Down here, as noted, you're in the southwest corner of the state. So close to the Mexican border down here, and also close to Arizona. Property is probably about 5 minutes from the Arizona border right over here. In fact, if we go so far as to right-click and measure distance on some of these things that I'm saying, you will see that, yeah, about 10 miles to Animas and blah, 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 everything else I just said. 10 miles to Rodeo, 5 minutes into Arizona. So that's where the property is located. It should also be noted, pretty close up here to Lordsburg. There we go. Lordsburg is up here, also in Hidalgo County. It's a very lengthy county from north to south. And just along the 9, you can make your way into Hachita, Gesundheit, as well as over here into Columbus in Luna County, and further on into really just south of Las Cruces down here in close to El Paso. Anyway, let's get into property specifics. So, when we zoom in here, this whole area that you see kind of carved out right here is the Sundance subdivision. This particular property is, this roughly 10-acre lot is a square lot similar to this size and shape, what you're seeing right here, but located right here along this road. Now, quick thing, guys. Let me just point something out to you. First off, if you go to Google Maps, you're not going to see the plat overlay of the subdivision. So I'm going to recommend you come back to the listing page here. We've got a couple, as always, we've got the Google Earth overlay, which will show you, size, shape, location of the property. Additionally, we have plat maps for those of you who love looking at plat maps. Plat map of the entire subdivision, and then, boom, zoomed in, quote unquote, zoomed in, to illustrate this specific property up here. Now, I'm pointing this out because I want you to see here on the plat map, if you scrutinize this in your free time, you will see that this property has legal access here along the south end of the property, and I can't tell from the plat map, but I'm going to assume that there's legal access along the eastern side of the property from what I have seen in other county records. Whatever the case, let me just pull this up here. So this is our software that we have that shows us things about properties. I don't normally like to get into this in the videos because you can see who the previous owners were, and I think that should be kept private, but then that happens. Anyway, so this is the subject property right here. As noted, this is Apache Lane, would be the legal access to the property. When you come to Google Maps, you don't actually see Apache Lane written anywhere. Down here it is. Additionally, this thing is called Copper Lane on Google Maps, but over here in the software it's identified as Maverick Spring Road. So your guess is as good as mine. Whatever the case, you can tell by looking at the map just by eyeballing this exactly where this is. So if you want to go out and scout this property, it's very easy. Coming in off the 9 down here, down to the 53, make your way over either on, I think Copper is going to be the easiest, but theoretically Apache Lane over to the land itself. Blah, blah, blah. Anywho, we'll get back to access in just a second. I want to show you guys some photos of this. As with all of our properties, we get photos taken from the land itself. So our photographer goes out there, does some photos, does a drone, etc. First thing that jumps out to you about this property, number one, is that there are power lines going through this area right here. And actually, if you go back to the plat map, you will see this line that goes through the plat map. This is essentially a utility easement that goes through here. So it cuts through the northwest corner of the property, and you will see more of that in the photo gallery here. So as we go through here, things that jump out at me immediately, number one, are first of all, the roads are fairly well maintained out there. You've got some underground utilities in the area servicing this region, servicing the only 2 homes that are out here from what I can tell. Some, post office here, post box, mailbox here. You go down to Copper Lane, you can pick up your mail, etc. And then you see more of the aforementioned power lines that are out here. The terrain out here is a little rugged, but not too hilly, not too rocky, etc. Nonetheless, it's going to require just a little bit of landscaping. Come in here and do some grading, do some, well, we'll say landscaping to begin to build out here. Or if you've got an RV you're looking to put down, permanent foundation or otherwise, you'll be able to do it out here. Nonetheless, this is the type of terrain that you're dealing with. You can also see that, like most of Hidalgo County, you have very nice views of the nearby foothills, the nearby mountain ranges around this region, etc. This is one of your neighbors off here in the distance. They've got a transmitter on the property. There's another photo of that coming up in the gallery that I want to show you guys, just because I want it to be clear that that is not on the subject property. As we have noted here in this photo, there's fencing along the southern boundary of the property. That will become important in just a second. And more photos of the land. Overall, there's some nice cutout areas here where you can begin to sort of build or park whatever you want, but it will require a little bit of landscaping, as mentioned earlier. And also, as mentioned earlier, beautiful views of the nearby mountains. I believe it's called the Gray Mountain, I believe is what it's called. Anywho, I swear to God, it's coming up in the photo gallery here eventually. Another picture. Ah, there we go. Transmitter located on neighboring property. I'm pointing this out because I think if you can put a monstrosity like this on your land, you could pretty much do whatever the hell you want. As noted, Hidalgo County itself. So let me just say this. Hidalgo County itself has no county-wide zoning ordinance. There will be towns, cities, municipalities within Hidalgo County that may have certain rules, restrictions, and whatnot. There will be subdivisions that may have covenants and restrictions. This is not one of those, and it's not located in one of those areas. So if you want to come out here and do the things that we discussed earlier, or, put up something like this, you will be able to without being fined, etc. Anyway, I will let you guys scroll through the photos on your own time. You can look, we've got a few more there in the photo gallery. Additionally, by the time this listing page goes live, we're going to have a drone video down here at the bottom. Oh, by the way, this is one of these beautiful views that you get from the property. Now, a couple quick things I wanted to point out about this land. So, you're in a subdivision. First of all, you're in a pretty rural area. You don't have a ton of people living out in this region. If you zoom in here on nearby Animas, you can see this is a pretty small town, not a ton of people living out here. Now, the point of me saying all this is that when you have a subdivision like this, where there are even fewer people living, what you will encounter is that the roads are, have not been as well maintained as they probably should have been over the years because there's just simply not that much traffic out there. So who's ever living at this home, they have easy access along Copper Lane. They just come down here, and probably they've driven the road so many times that it's not a problem, it's not a factor. Additionally, whoever's got this land down here, easy access, etc., etc. This property, as noted, has legal access along Apache Lane. Now, if we zoom in on Apache Lane, what you're going to see is there's a giant arroyo going through it. So I don't believe my photographer specifically got out here. Oh, no, he did. And he said Apache seems impassable. So he has a pretty big truck. It will probably be impassable for you as well. So it would seem like the logical route into the property is to take Copper over to whatever this exact road is called and then make your way into the land here. Now, 2 things I will have you know. Number 1, while my photographer was out there, he spoke to the neighboring property owner. She was apparently a very nice woman. And she reported a couple things. Number 1, the easement over here, which I'm calling the eastern legal access to the property, is, I'm not going to say it's non-existent at this point, but the locals use it as a horse trail, point being it's not great for cars. So if you're going to approach this property, you want to approach it from essentially Copper Lane. And what my photographer reported is that this neighbor has a little bit of a gate up right here. Now, let's be clear. In New Mexico, no one can block you from accessing your land. No, if you have legal access to a property, nobody can just come on and put up some arbitrary gate. That being said, when you're the only one living out there, as these people are, you can probably do whatever you want. You could go years and years and years without anybody saying anything. So, if you buy this property, you are likely going to have to talk to the neighbor about, hey, that gate that you have, do you mind if I either get access to it or can we do something about it? and then you can drive down here and drive over to your property. That is the easiest thing to do, and my understanding is the neighbor is very agreeable and a very nice person. Now, of course, before you give us $14,000, you may want to investigate that on your own. Whatever the case, as noted, legal access cannot be blocked from a property, and this property has legal access here along this road. Additionally, when you go back to the plat map and you look at it, you can see that legal access was drawn up here. So this road that only halfway exists or exists just to the neighbor's house, it should exist fully. So the point is there's a legal easement here that can get you to here, and then a legal easement that can get you out to the land. And no one is allowed to block you from that. All right. Point being, just buyer beware, interest of full disclosure, I want you guys to know about that. Now, with all this said, because the property has no real zoning restrictions and because there are no covenants out here, there's not a lot for me to talk about, so I do just want to point out a couple things. Number one, Columbus Electric Cooperative is the company that services this region. So if you want to get hooked up to the power that is running through the land, to the power lines that are running through this property, perhaps you'll want to call them in advance, talk to them. What do I need to know? How much this is going to cost? You've got a power pole on my property. What is the degree of difficulty or cost involved in that? Number one. Number two, the New Mexico Office of the State Engineer is the organization, the entity that you contact when you want to drill a well, residential or otherwise, in the state of New Mexico. So if you have questions about, hey, I want to put in a well on my new property, can I get permitted for that? Permitting usually is not that difficult, but getting water rights out there, these are the people that you talk to about that. In regards to the actual cost of the well, you'll want to reach out to a local vendor. Elbrock is a company that services this region. They do a lot of well drilling out there, and they can talk to you better really than I can about what is the water table depth in a region like this? How much is it going to cost me? How far down do I have to drill? So on and so forth. And by the way, if you click any of those links that I showed you earlier, you will be brought to the various websites that I referenced, such as the electric company and the Office of the State Engineer. Now, with all that said, if you are interested in purchasing this property, first off, let's talk about comps. I don't usually get into this in the videos, or I don't do it so much anymore, but I brought up comps in Hidalgo County. If you go to a website like Land and Farm, you type in Hidalgo County, and then let's just narrow the acreage down to say this property is 9.x acres, let's say 7 to whatever, 15 acres, and you apply that, and you do a search, and then if you sort by price lowest first, what you are going to see is that there's a 10-acre property out there for $14,900, roughly $15,000, and that is the low end of Hidalgo County. And if you go through all these comps, what you're going to see is the 10 acres are okay. They're starting at $15,000, but they graduate all seemingly within the same subdivision, I'm guessing, to $18,000 and $26,000 and $28,000 and $29,000 and so on and so forth. And then you get into properties that are outside that subdivision. You've got 10 acres here for $30,000. Point being, $14,000 for roughly 10 acres of land is a pretty good price. All right. With all that said, guys, if you are interested in purchasing this, just come over here, click the Buy Now button. It's going to bring up this. Where is it at? Hang on. Hey-oh, there it is. This secure checkout, which will allow you to put down a deposit on the property. We're going to ask you a couple questions. Legal name for deed, name or names. Tax address, where's Hidalgo County, going to send the yearly bill, etc. And then on the next page, agree to the terms, click next, go on the next page, enter credit or debit card information, and you will put down the $500 non-refundable earnest money deposit. So, just to explain to you how this works, we closed on this property through Luna County Abstract. We have title insurance on the property. We can provide a warranty deed on the property. Title is free and clear. Underwriter insures it. We recommend when you get into this price range that you too close through a title company. So instead of giving us $14,000 and hoping that we deed the property into your name, let's get a third-party intermediary in who handles your money and the drafting of all this documentation. Let's get a party who insures the property for you, and let's do it through them. So the way that works is if you come to our How It Works Buying From Us page, down here in the second part of the page, we have type of closing, recommended, title, escrow. Basically, you put down that earnest money deposit, $500. Within 24 hours, we're going to have a contract to you, a sale purchase agreement. Click this link. You'll see what that looks like. It looks a lot like this. This is a generic version of one of our standard contracts, but basically it's one page for signatures. You sign it, we submit it to title. Title does the rest, and within about 2 to 4 weeks, they're going to contact you to fund the rest of the deal, and they're going to contact us about signing the deed, deeding the property into your name. Again, we cannot touch your money until such a time as the property has been deeded into your name. Also, to be clear, title will not do anything without a contract, and we don't write a contract until we have an earnest money deposit. FYI. Anyway, guys, with all that said, I really like this property. I really like anything out in Hidalgo County. We've had such good luck with it in the past, and the lack of formal zoning throughout most of the county is very appealing to most of our buyers, particularly those who want to do quote-unquote unconventional things. So if that describes you, hopefully you like this property. If you have any questions, give us a call, 702-919-7170. Leave a comment here on the YouTube, or shoot us an email, support@hemingwayland.com. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.